Welcome back to Skytech-Lens. Ever wonder how a simple product gets to you? It's a global journey. Raw materials, factories, shipping, all woven together by international trade. But what happens when the rules change overnight? That's the reality now, as tariffs and trade disputes upend the system. Major companies are scrambling, making drastic moves to survive in this new world. This isn't just about numbers, it's about the toys our kids play with, the cars we drive, and the devices we use every day. Today we'll reveal how 6 major companies are navigating this turbulent landscape. These stories aren't just about business, they're about adaptation and the real-world impact of economic policy. Why are Shein and Temu in crisis? Why are toys shifting from China to India? Why are American icons like John Deere and Apple rethinking everything? The ripple effects are everywhere, touching every consumer. So buckle up as we explore the hidden costs, the winners and losers, and what this means for you. This is the story of 6 companies making bold pivots in the face of unprecedented tariff turmoil. Shein and Temu took over online shopping with ultra-low prices, using a US trade loophole to ship duty-free packages under $800 straight to Americans. But now, the loophole is closed. The US has slapped tariffs up to 145% on these imports. Shein and Temu's business model is suddenly in jeopardy. They're slashing ad budgets and pausing campaigns, scrambling for a new strategy. For shoppers, the era of $5 dresses is ending. Prices are rising and deals are vanishing. Domestic retailers may celebrate, but can they meet demand at higher costs? Shein and Temu must adapt, build US warehouses, pay tariffs, or pivot to new markets. The question, can these giants reinvent themselves, or will they fade as quickly as they rose? One thing's certain, the age of frictionless, ultra-cheap imports is over. For decades, Made in China was stamped on nearly every toy in America. MGA Entertainment thrived in this system, but tariffs and trade tensions changed the game. CEO Isaac Larian is moving 40% of production out of China, a massive shift. India, Vietnam, and Indonesia are the new hotspots, dodging US-China tariffs. MGA's move signals a bigger trend. No more putting all your eggs in one basket. China's manufacturing scale is hard to match, but the shift is underway. Soon, Made in India or Made in Vietnam will replace Made in China on toy boxes. Diversification is the new rule. The future of toys is being built right now, far from China. Aluminum is everywhere. Cars, planes, cans. For years, the US relied on tariff-free Canadian aluminum, with Alcoa as a key player. New tariffs on Canadian imports forced Alcoa to reroute shipments to Europe, turning a short rail trip into a weeks-long sea voyage. This isn't just a trade slowdown, it's a costly, inefficient detour that adds complexity and emissions. Meanwhile, US manufacturers still need aluminum, so imports from distant countries like Australia are rising. The result? A global shuffle. Canadian aluminum goes to Europe, Australian aluminum comes to the US, all to dodge tariffs. These convoluted routes drive up costs and volatility in the US market. Prices for everything from cars to soda cans are rising and consumers will feel it. Tariffs meant to protect domestic producers end up distorting global trade, forcing companies into economically illogical decisions. The longer tariffs last, the more permanent these inefficient supply chains become. Undoing the damage won't be easy even if tariffs are lifted. Alcoa's detour is a cautionary tale. Protectionism can backfire, raising costs for everyone. The global metals market is now less efficient, more expensive, and more polluting. The ripple effects touch every industry that relies on aluminum. This is not a temporary disruption, it's a new normal. Companies are signing long-term contracts and rebuilding logistics around this reality. The journey of a single metal now spans continents, all because of a policy change. The lesson: tariffs can create more problems than they solve. The global economy is more interconnected and fragile than ever. Alcoa's story is just one example of a world adapting to new trade barriers. The cost of protectionism is being paid by all of us. John Deere, an icon of American manufacturing, isn't immune to the tariff storm. Tariffs have added over $500 million in costs, hitting both imported parts and exports. Deere's response? Pass some costs to farmers, who now pay more for essential equipment. The rest, a painstaking supply chain overhaul, searching for new suppliers outside tariff zones. Every tractor contains thousands of parts from dozens of countries. Now, Deere must vet new partners and rework logistics. The result? Higher prices, supply chain headaches, and a drain on resources that could have gone to innovation. Tariffs meant to protect US industry are hurting it instead, making Deere less competitive abroad, especially in China, where rivals gain an edge. The company's global supply chain, built for efficiency, is now a liability in a world of trade barriers. Deere's struggle mirrors that of many manufacturers: massive factories, complex supply chains, and long-term plans disrupted by political risk. The uncertainty makes it hard to invest or expand. The story of John Deere is no longer just about farming, it's about surviving global trade wars. The impact: higher costs, lost markets, and a scramble to adapt. The green and yellow tractor now symbolizes the challenges of a new era. The tariff storm is far from over. Deere is weathering it, but not without scars. The lesson: even the strongest brands are vulnerable. The future of American manufacturing depends on how companies adapt. The stakes are high for everyone. For years, the iPhone story was China's story. Apple's supply chain was a marvel of efficiency, but also a major risk. As US-China tensions rose, Apple faced the threat of tariffs on its most important product. The solution: a rapid pivot to India, transforming it from a minor player to a major iPhone production hub. Foxconn, Apple's key partner, is investing billions in new Indian facilities, building a local ecosystem from scratch. The benefits are clear. Apple sidesteps US tariffs and taps into India's massive, growing market. Manufacturing locally also aligns with India's Make in India push, making iPhones more accessible to Indian consumers. The challenges? India's infrastructure and labor laws are different, and building a new supply chain takes time. Still, Apple's move is reshaping the tech world. Other electronics giants are following, diversifying away from China. The iPhone's journey is now more complex, with parts and assembly spread across multiple countries. Tariffs have forced Apple's hand, redrawing the global manufacturing map. The shift is monumental. Apple's pivot is a catalyst for the entire industry. The age of assembled in China is ending for many tech products. The new era: resilience, diversification, and political risk management. Apple's story shows how quickly global giants can adapt when pressured. The next chapter of tech manufacturing is being written in India, Vietnam, and beyond. The iPhone's new journey reflects a world in flux. The lesson: even the biggest players must stay nimble. The future of global tech is more diverse and more uncertain than ever. The auto industry is ground zero for tariff turmoil. Stellantis, born from Fiat Chrysler and PSA, is feeling the pain. A 25% tariff on imported vehicles and parts has forced Stellantis into layoffs and plant closures, like the Jeep Cherokee plant in Illinois. The company cites tariffs and electrification costs as reasons for these drastic moves. The result: thousands of American jobs lost, ironically the opposite of what protectionist policies intended. The United Auto Workers blame Stellantis for shifting production to lower-cost countries like Mexico, exploiting trade agreements. Tariffs, meant to protect, are making U.S. assembly lines unprofitable if they rely on global parts. Other automakers face similar challenges. Ford and Nissan are scrambling to resource parts and redesign components, driving up costs and complexity. The modern car is a global product: engines from Mexico, electronics from Korea, steel from Canada, all assembled in the US. A blunt tariff ignores this reality, destabilizing the entire industry. Stellantis's cuts are a warning. Trade barriers can hurt the very industries they aim to protect. Automakers are being forced to rethink their manufacturing footprints, with lasting consequences for workers and communities. The auto supply chain is a delicate balance. Tariffs make it a high-stakes game. The industry's future depends on how companies adapt to this new reality. The fallout is real: higher prices, job losses, and strategic shifts. The tariff tightrope is narrow, and the risks are high. The global auto industry is being reshaped before our eyes. The lesson: in a connected world, trade wars have no easy winners. The road ahead is uncertain for everyone. So what does it all mean? Tariffs are driving a fundamental shift in global trade, not just a temporary storm. Companies are tearing up old playbooks, prioritizing resilience and political risk over pure efficiency. The products we buy and the jobs we depend on are being reshaped. The costs of this global shuffle are reaching your wallet: higher prices on cars, toys, even soda. The era of ever-cheaper goods may be over. As consumers, we're all part of this new economic landscape. The world is getting more complicated and more expensive. Your experience matters. Have you noticed price hikes or supply issues? Share your story in the comments. The global marketplace is changing fast. Let's keep the conversation going. How is it affecting you? Thanks for watching a video. Subscribe to the channel now for more updates. Thanks.